she was acting like, talking like she was gonna beat my A.
Wait, what was she saying that made you think that?
Oh, you've been going through my stuff. Oh, I barely live here. Or this, that, and the third. You know, I explained the officer the situation. I said, I barely even know this lady. You know what I'm saying? I said, I barely know her from a can of paint. I opened my doors to her. I didn't have to open my doors to her.
This is the plaintiff, Angelica. She says she rented a room in her house to the defendant and soon realized it was a big mistake. When she got home one day, there were cops at her place because the defendant was acting crazy, saying she was going to beat her up. Bottom line, she got rid of her, but is still owed $350 in unpaid rent and is suing for it today. This is the defendant, Ayanna Ferguson. She says the plaintiff belittled her in front of other people, and she wouldn't let her have any friends visit. It was like living in a jail. The woman went through her personal belongings. She moved out and owes her nothing. She's accused of being erratic. The defendant has filed a countersuing for $150 for items she says the plaintiff stole from her.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
The People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn.
Thank you,
I was
Douglas.
also told to tell you that first name only.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Angelica, you are suing Ms. Ferguson for $350, a balance of rent that you say she still owes you. You've got a counterclaim against her, Ms. Ferguson, for items that she refuses to return. Let's hear from you first, Ms. Angelica.
I had met Ayanna through a mutual friend that, like, when I had met her, I had met her only one time. And then the second time I had seen her, she was explaining to me about the situation where she was getting put out of her place because it was in her ex-boyfriend's name. So she basically didn't have nowhere to go. So I basically understood her situation because I had been in an abusive relationship. So I basically felt the situation of the fact of being with a man that basically, you know, she said he left her for another girl and all kind of stuff like that. So I basically felt bad for her. So I said, well, I got a second room in my house. So I rent it out to you for 3 months for $300 a month.
When did she move in? What month did she move in?
October 1st is when she moved in.
October 1st of what year?
Of 2021.
Okay, and how long did she live there?
She moved out on December 26th of 2021 because I told her she only had 3 months for $300 a month. So December was her last month. So that's why I told her we can start on October 1st.
So did she pay you any rent for December?
No, ma'am. She didn't pay me any rent for December, and she still owed me $50 for November.
That's why you're suing for $350?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you guys not get along, or just it was always supposed to be just temporary?
It was supposed to be temporary, but the crazy thing is that, to be honest with you, we had no problems, like no problems at all whatsoever, up until the day that she came to get her items. And then
what day did she come to get her items?
On December 26th.
Okay.
That's when she texted me.
Yeah.
And she texted me and said that she was on her way to get her things. And I said, I'm not at home. And she said, do you want me to wait? I said, yes, because honestly, you still haven't paid me. She's like, I'm going to pay you. I said, I understand that. I said, you had all month to pay me, and you know that's not how it goes. So she was like, it's not the end of the month. It's still, I still have the rest of the month.
So you told her you weren't home, and then what was the plan? Did she come anyway?
She came, like, I got a call from someone saying that the police, and her and the police was at my house.
Okay, so was she able to get in with the police, or she wasn't?
No, she wasn't able to get in with the police.
So then how was this resolved? While the police are standing there, do you end up going?
Yes, ma'am. I end up going to the house or whatever. When I go to the house, she have a friend there with her. Now they was all rowdy with me. She was acting like, talking like she was going to beat my A.
Wait, what was she saying that made you think that?
Oh, you've been going through my stuff. Oh, I barely live here. Or this, that, and the third. You know, I explained the officer the situation. I said, I barely even know this lady. You know what I'm saying? I said, I barely know her from a can of paint. I opened my doors to her. I didn't have to open my doors to her. I said, we've never had no problems. Now, all of a sudden, she acting like she has such a big problem with me.
Ms. Ferguson, what is your defense? According to her, you owe half of November and all of December. So talk to me and tell me your side of this.
Okay, so Pretty much what she said. I met her through a mutual friend. Like we met a couple of times before I moved into her apartment. She let me know I rent my room out $300 a month, 3 months at a time. Okay, cool. I moved in October 4th, not October 1st. Prior to me moving in, there was no, there's no paper trail. There was nothing. So the first time I paid her in October, when I sent her the Cash App, I said for rent, and that was on me being sloppy, forgetting to put that text every time I sent her because I paid her full rent for full rent for November. The $50 that she's referring to is for a wig that she bought me when I first moved in her house, but I felt like we broke even on because the locks that she had in her hair still to this day I did for free.
Okay, back it up. Do you have proof that you paid $300 for November?
I do. Where I was bringing her the cash, I gave her cash 200. No, December 3rd, and then I
hold on. Where's the rest of the money? Because it's $300, and it was due November 1st.
Yes, ma'am. December 13th, I sent her a Cash App for $100, which made $300 for November.
Okay. Did she give you $200, Ms. Angelica, in the beginning of December?
Yes, ma'am.
And then another $100 in a Cash App?
She sent me $100 in the Cash App, and yes, ma'am, because she had told me she was going to give, like she owed me still $150. See, so that's the reason why I really
wait. Why did she owe you $150? She owes you $300 for rent. If she paid you $200 and then paid you $100, that equals $300.
Like she said, it was for the. Like she said, it was for the wig that I.
Oh, let's talk about the wig. What's the wig? What's the wig? What's the wig?
When she first moved in, I had bought her a wig. That was like $30. She owed me for that, and then I gave her a ride to work 2 different times. She owed me for that, but it's the 50 is really no big deal to me.
Okay.
She just the one that had.
Now let's talk about December, Ms. Ferguson. Let's talk about December. Did you pay December's rent?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. So then you didn't pay $300 for 3 months. You paid $300 at best for 2 months. All right. So now, why wouldn't you owe December? Because you did live there December. You didn't take your stuff out until December 26th.
You're right. My stuff was there. But I was not. The reason why I gave her the money late is because I had surgery. And I work in the city. She stays in Stone Mountain. It's closer for me to be at my friend's house during the week. I work 6 days a week. It's just closer for me to be there than to be all the way in Stone Mountain getting back and forth to work because I ride the train. So during the time that I was staying there, I wasn't there. But then when I came home to give her the money for November, I get home and all my stuff has been like she cleaned my entire room. She rearranged stuff. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. Yes, I'm renting a room for you, but once I'm renting a room for you, that is no longer your property. That's my property. Nothing in there should have been touched. It made me feel uncomfortable. Like,
did you tell her that?
No, I didn't, because you know how it is staying with somebody. You can't, especially knowing her, you can't say certain stuff that's going to seem like you're accusing or something. So that's why I called the police when I went to go get my stuff, because I know how combative she is. It's not going to be a conversation. It's going to be, why are you accusing me? Oh, well, this is my house.
Okay, but here's the thing. My question to you is, if I'm renting an apartment, I can't tell my landlord, hey, I'm only going to pay you 6 days this month because I stayed with my boyfriend. Like, that's not how it works. I mean, you're paying rent because you're supposed to pay the rent. So, and all your stuff is there until the 26th. You don't get it out of there until the 26th. So you're renting it in December, even if you choose not to sleep there because it's more convenient to sleep with your friends. All that is fine, but that's a you problem. That doesn't mean you don't owe December rent. So what is your defense to December rent?
Just the fact, I don't know. I just felt if I was only stayed there for 2 days and she's been in my stuff.
Let's talk about she's been in my stuff. Ms. Angelica, did you go through her things?
No, ma'am. See, the room was supposed to have been for my business. I had a business. I had closed it. And I went up there and I had, went in the closet because that's where I still had things. I was still going in the closet. When she moved in, like I told her, like this is, just don't use this side of the closet because, I had my things on this side of one side of the closet. She had her things on the side of the closet. So what I did is I did organize the closet because she had some of her things on the side where my things was at, like mixed with some of my things. So yeah, I moved it on her side because I said, I don't want her stuff mixed up.
Did you go through anything in her room?
No.
No. Tell me about your counterclaim, Ms. Ferguson.
My counterclaim is for my mom's property that she, like she said in the text messages, a nice obituary, your dad, my mom's jewelry box, my mom's obituary, the pictures my mom gave me, a Michael Kors bag, all that stuff that she sent in the pictures that she has. I don't even want the money. I just want my mom's stuff. I don't even want to take no money from her because she don't work.
What
money? Got the money.
Oh, you mean you don't really want the $150? You want your things back?
I don't. Yes, ma'am.
Right. Now, so she sends you a picture. Let's look at that. On December 26th, she sends you a picture of stuff you left behind. And she writes, LOL trash. And you write, I'll be back. And she writes, try it. You can try to play all you want like you're not trying to pay me what you owe me, but if you don't send me my money today, then we will be in court, and I can guarantee you will be out more money than that. Like the officer said, don't let your mouth and attitude write a check your blank can't cash, and including the stuff you left for the trash, including your mom's obituary. So you make your choice, and I hope you choose wisely. That's kind of nasty. Your dead blank mama's obituary will be in the trash along with the rest of the trash you left. See you in court. Why are you talking like that, Ms.
Because the simple
Angelica?
fact of, you see how she tried to like tell me, like when I tried to be nice with her, tell her, okay, you can act like you don't want to pay me my money, or you can either pay me
No,
my
you
money.
weren't nice
I
at
held her
all.
stuff
You,
for her to
wait,
give her
stop,
opportunity.
stop. It's just because you talk fast doesn't mean, you know, you're right, okay?
No, ma'am.
You send her a picture and you call it trash, including her mom's obituary, right?
Yeah, see, yes, ma'am. Because
So that was,
at first I didn't know.
that's not
I
in
didn't know what
response
was
to
in
anything
there.
she did. That's you because you're mad that you didn't get paid. Be honest. You're going to jail for trying to use my card too. Tell me about that, Ms. Ferguson.
I'm getting off work. I'm trying to, buy a MARTA card at the train station, and I'm seeing all these transactions. She's trying to swipe my credit builder card. When I was staying with her, I got my time card sent to her house.
So she opened your mail?
Yes, and tried to get my money on my account. And she was like, when I text her, because I blocked her after she kept harassing me, she was texting me every day about the money. So I blocked her. She goes, I go to Cash App, like, I see what you're doing. Like, stop trying to get money on my account. And she goes, well,
she goes, what?
Stop trying to steal $350. Oh, $350 for your dad, mama, all this other stuff.
Wait,
And
I
I'm
don't
like,
see any texts after you're going to jail for trying to use my card. Do you have texts?
No, it's all in the Cash App transactions. Like, we're going back and forth in Cash App at this point. Like,
Okay, hold on one second. Hold on one second. She makes a request for your dead-ass mama.
Yep.
Then she sends another request for your dead-ass mama died to get away from you. Well, that's nice. That's nice.
Yes,
For
because
this
she
is
kept
a
sending-
nice.
she
I'm
had
sorry.
kept
Are you
sending
trying
me-
to defend yourself? Are you
No, ma'am,
seriously
I'm just
saying
saying she was-
something other
No,
than
ma'am, I'm
being
saying she was-
humiliated right now? Just stop. Did you use her card?
No, ma'am. When her chime cards came, I gave her her chime card. When her Cash App came in the mail, I text her and said, your card is here. That's why I say I have text messages where I can, I actually
Show me the
send
text
them.
messages where you tell her your charm card is here.
But that's why I say if I'd have knew she would send that, then I would have sent the text messages, because I have text messages. She text where I text her when her Cash App came, where I text her. She texted me actually and said, "Did my Cash App come?" I said, it hadn't came yet. When it came, it came. When her chime card came, I text her and said
Okay,
that
I have a
chime card was
question,
here.
Ms.
No
Angelica.
other chime
Where
card
is
came to my
where is
house
the
after
jewelry
that.
box, the Michael Kors bag, and the Bob Marley?
It's at my house.
You still have it. All right. Ms. Ferguson, as for your counterclaim, I'm going to rule on that first. You're not going to have any contact with each other, obviously. So through Officer McIntosh after the trial, there will be arrangements made for the wooden jewelry box, the Michael Kors bag, and the Bob Marley pictures to be returned to you. And as for your claim against her, Ms. Angelica, I'm going to order her to pay you $300 for the December rent, and we're going to resolve the counterclaim in the way that I said. That's my verdict. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff is going to get $300 back from the defendant, and the defendant is going to get the items that she wanted and that she had left at the house. Ms. Ferguson, the defendant, let me ask you first. Number one, among the things you want back so much are the Bob Marley pictures. Why is that so valuable to you?
Those are actually like my mom passed away in 2017, and those are just a couple of things that she left behind. They just hold sentimental value.
All right. Well, I think you've learned something about being, a renter in someone's house. You owe her $300. You're going to have to give it to her. How you feel about that?
I mean, it is what it is. You can't, you got to pay where you stay. I'm not tripping. Right is right. Wrong is wrong.
All right. $300. That's what you owe. And Angelica, let me ask you, you're going to get $300 back, not $350. Hey, but you're getting rid of her. How about that? Is that the good part of this?
That's the best part of it, is that she's out of my house, because that's the main thing. I wanted her to be out my house because she didn't keep her hygiene up. So, yes, I'm glad she's out of my house. That's the main thing I wanted.
Good for you. You're going to get your money and you learned something. So be it. All right, that'll wrap it up for this case. Let's hear what Harvey has to say. Harvey, talk to me.
So, Doug, this is a case where a tenant can't say, well, I had abandoned the place because I lived somewhere else. If you haven't officially ended the lease, and especially if you still have stuff in the apartment, even if you've left, you're still on the hook.
How did you and your husband prepare for the LSAT exam?
Oh my goodness. We have a daughter who just spent the last year doing that. That's the law school admissions test.
Right.
Which every law student who wants to go to law school has to take. How did we prepare? I'm sure you prepared not at all, and I'm sure I prepared every waking minute. We didn't know each other. Did you take a prep course?
I took a prep course.
You took the bar in 3 different places.
Yeah, that's later. I took 3 bar exams in about 2 years.
Oh, okay. Because the kids and I were trying to figure this out the other day.
I took Massachusetts, then I took Florida, and then I took Tennessee, and through some minor miracle,
But when
I
did you
passed all
take
3.
Florida?
But we're talking about the LSAT, though. On the LSAT, I'm sure you outscored me. I don't know what your score was, but it had to be higher than mine.
We've never talked about this.
No.
What'd you get?
I suddenly have amnesia. I don't know.
This is the plaintiff, Druid Alan Arthurs. He says he was wrongly evicted from the apartment he rented from the defendant. He says the woman called the cops on him and now won't return his money or his belongings. He's suing her here and now for the $8,000 he's most definitely owed. This is the defendant, June Norden. She says the plaintiff's a troublemaker who had issues with a female resident, and there are multiple grievances against him. He was arrested for aggravated stalking and resisting arrest and stopped paying rent. She did everything she could to help him get his stuff out, owes him nothing, and can't wait to be done with him once and for all. She's accused of harassing a tenant. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $1,700 for unpaid rent.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says it doesn't matter who you are or who you know, but if you loan somebody $8,000 and they don't pay you back, you sue them. But in this case, the defendant claims the guy got into fights with other residents in his building, and she had to have him arrested. It's the case of fight for your right to sue.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Arthurs, you are suing your former landlord, Ms. Norden, for $8,000 you say she owes you, and she's counterclaiming against you 3 months' rent. Why don't you start? You tell me the story.
I've lived in the Springs. It's a beautiful facility. It used to be a family-owned park. I moved in and bought a townhouse in 2004, sold that, and did not want to leave the Springs, and I rented a unit from Ms. Norden in August of 13. She asked that the lease be the first, last, and a deposit. We never had any issues really until February, March of 19. The unit had been vacant for a bit below me. It was then sold to a couple below me. And from the time they moved in, they immediately wanted to come up to my unit to inspect it.
Wait, how do you know that? What did they say?
They said there were leaks in the coming in down to their bedroom.
And then did you allow them in?
No.
And then what happens?
It just continued to the point of harassment.
Wait, what continued to the point of harassment?
The wife came up to me and said, "Oh, I heard you're just a renter," and just laughed and walked away. It also escalated to the husband coming up to my unit. My door was cracked open. He actually came into the unit and said, "Alan, turn your television down." And I said, "Jack, you better head back downstairs." I reported that to Miss Norden. Then I get a certified letter from the HOA that somehow I had made a comment to a resident, wouldn't tell me who it was, I've lived there 15 years, and that it was very serious, and it was CC'd to Miss Norden. So I called the attorney that sent the letter.
The attorney who's representing the homeowners association.
HOA. Yes, ma'am. And I explained to him who I was, how long I've lived there. We chatted for a bit. I told him some other attorneys, and he assured me that the situation he would be dropped. Okay, so I said, well, then you will, I guess, send a certified letter to Miss Norton and the HOA that this has been dropped. And I assumed it was over. I go driving in. It was September 28th, I believe, or 27th. And there is about over a dozen Seminole County deputies where I would go to park. And I'm thinking somebody died. I went in, I got out of the car. They approached me. They asked me who I was. I told them that's me. The deputy then said, are you on any medication? And I said, well, actually, I'm a health agent, and under the HIPAA, I really don't have to answer that. But if it's going to clear this up or whatever this is about, I said, yeah, I take meds. At that point, Your Honor, he said, turn around, put your hands behind your back. I said, for what? He says, we're Baker acting you.
All right. Now, Baker acting in the state of Florida means an involuntary commitment because you're a danger to yourself or others. What was the basis of the Baker Act?
There was none.
No, there has to be.
There was
No.
none.
Let me explain to you how Baker Act works. The police go to the judge, and the judge signs it. So that means there is an actual order holding you for the 72 hours. So it exists. So are you saying you just have never seen it, so you can't answer my question?
That's correct. I have not seen it. I went into the facility when the doctor showed up. We actually had met each other, and she knew that I should not have been there, and knew that I was basically being smeared. And before she would even let me go, she asked her assistant to come in, and she wrote up a proxy, and she wanted the assistant to notarize it, and that I had been to the facility. And under her recommendations, I was just to call my primary doctor and go home. So I caught an Uber. I got an Uber. I went home. I got in the shower to get dressed because I just slept with another person in the same room in this nasty facility, and I wanted to get something to eat. And I went in the shower, and as I'm getting out of the shower, I look outside, and here comes another 7 to 8 Seminole County deputy cars flying into the driveway, banging on the door, okay? I open the door, go outside to talk to them, and I said, hey, I took the proxy, and I said, gentlemen, ladies, this has been settled. Here's the proxy. They took the proxy from me. They then said, turn around, put your hands behind your back. I said, for what? And they said, you're being charged with stalking and cyber stalking. And I said, what?
Who was the victim in that case?
The people below me.
And what had they alleged you had said?
Nothing.
Well, no, that's not true. That's what you say you said, that you said nothing. They say you said that you were going to kill them. What's the allegation said?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Yes, in their complaint, they said that at 4 o'clock in the morning for the last few nights, I was somehow taking very heavy items and dropping them on the floor and then yelling through the floor that they were going to die.
Okay, Mr. Arthurs, what did Ms. Norton do to you? Why are you suing Ms. Norton?
Because she got with the two the residents below there, at least the woman, and they conspired to have me evicted.
Okay, how did Ms. Norton conspire to lie against you and persuade the police that you were committing crimes? How did Ms. Norton do that?
With the HOA, by not doing anything.
Okay. By not defending you. Okay, so now, when you say the HOA, what in fact happens is that the HOA ends up saying, you need to get out of here, right? Now, Ms. Norton, let me hear from you. When do you first hear that there's all these problems happening?
Alan was a wonderful tenant for years, the best. What happened in April or May, I don't know.
Did the neighbors downstairs ever call you to complain about him?
I didn't meet them until Alan was evicted. That's the first time I met them.
And when you talked to them, what was it they said to you?
The woman just kind of almost collapsed and was glad to meet me because she was having trouble with Alan.
Did she tell you what the trouble was that she was having?
This is where I'm sorry, I get a little troubled with my speech.
Oh, okay.
But I do have rams of texts.
Okay. All right.
That can tell the terrible things that Alan texted to me that are unforgivable.
More or less, what was he texting you? He felt like you didn't come to his defense?
Well, he told me I was a lunatic, as he always knew, because I hugged the women downstairs in a board meeting. I'll hug anybody who'll take one. And
Good to know.
She was definitely upset, but I had heard other terrible, terrible stories about Alan, and I tried to text and tell Alan, your language, your behavior is not you.
What were the other stories that you heard about Alan?
Well, when he did bring in a gal, Lisa, 2 weeks later, she calls me, and I don't know who it is, crying and upset. She just had to call the police because he wouldn't let her take her own things out.
Okay.
So that was the beginning. Actually, that was the beginning of the end. There was something that just went south.
According to the Homeowners Association, Mr. Arthurs, they say that in beginning of September, you were involved in a verbal altercation with the female resident at the gatehouse, exhibiting intimidating and erratic behavior, including vulgar threats, and that happened in front of security.
No, that's a lie.
Okay, so the Homeowners Association is lying about that, and I guess the security was lying about that when they said they heard it. Then in the end of
Yes, they
September,
were lying,
according to
and
the
Your
Homeowners
Honor-
Association, you enter the management office, blow by the receptionist, enters the manager's office, confront the property manager, and were yelling and demanding that he call the landlord, and they call security to get you out of there.
That's another lie.
Then they say that the next day you enter the clubhouse to confront the property manager, and security is dispatched again because you're screaming and yelling.
That's an absolute lie. And Your Honor, in the
Then the unit below you says that you had been yelling profanities at them, playing loud music and TV, and that you may have vandalized their vehicle because their vehicle was vandalized. And you then send an email to Attorney Carlos stating, please Google Brent PA. He's the last attorney that stuck his nose somewhere it shouldn't be. And who's Brent?
Brent was a guardian ad litem attorney that was in my divorce, and he was disbarred.
So is that a threat to Carlos that you were going to get him disbarred?
No, it was to please do your homework as to who you're talking to.
Okay. And then at
Not,
8:27, a few minutes later, you email and say, also, I can call my friend who's a reporter for ProPublica. I assure you, he would love to film an update on Atomwaffen. What exactly is Atomwaffen, Mr. Arthurs?
My son, unfortunately, got involved with some bad people.
Atomwaffen means atomic weapons in German, and it's a small extremist group that hopes to use terroristic violence to bring about the collapse of what it literally calls the system.
That's correct. And my son is currently in Chattahoochee.
When you say some
Hospital.
trouble, he was arrested for the murder of his 2 roommates.
That is correct.
So when you say he's in Chattahoochee, he's in state prison?
That is correct. I turned him in.
Did he?
I turned him in.
Is his trial over with?
Yes.
Was he
has
convicted?
No trial.
He pled
been
guilty.
He's been deemed schizophrenic and autistic, and he is in Chattahoochee probably for the rest of his life.
Okay, so the trial is pending, and he's not competent to stand trial.
Correct. But now, Your Honor, you will also see.
Hold on one second. I'm going through. I want to give you a chance to answer all of the complaints that the Homeowners Association filed against you. Then they say at the end of September, you were witnessed by neighbors at 4 a.m. yelling, "Wake up, Jack! You're going to die, old man."
What witness? I don't. Who else would have been up? I was asleep at 4 a.m. This is what I mean.
Jack then called security, and security was there.
No, that never happened.
Then the property manager testifies that you said to him, "I will throw you in the lake and I will kill you. You don't know who you're dealing with. I will take out your family."
Total lie. And that manager was only employed there for 3 months.
Okay. Can you, I'm going to put this down because I don't have to keep reading, but I do have to understand from you why you are suing Ms. Norden for $8,000. What did she do to you? She didn't stop the runaway train of 1,000 people saying you're behaving erratically when you were behaving erratically? I mean, what are the odds that 27 witnesses are wrong? But tell me, why does Ms. Norden owe you $8,000? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
She set this up with them.
What evidence do you have she set anything up with them? What's your evidence?
She worked together with...
No, that's your conclusion. Give me the facts. What facts do you have to suggest that she did something to you? You don't. You don't have any facts to suggest your landlord did something.
Your Honor,
she wouldn't help you, and you wanted her to stand up and help you make everything go away. And it wasn't going to go away because a lot of people were afraid of you. Now, Ms. Norden, you have a lawsuit against him, a counterclaim for the remaining rent, but the Homeowners Association evicted him, and you do have last month's rent originally, so you would have rent for October. So why are you suing for October, November, and December?
I guess he was in jail and didn't pay the last 3
Right, but you knew, you knew in October when he gets that, hey, he's got to get out. You know he's not coming back. You could re-rent it. When does he actually move all the stuff?
It was with my witness, Jay.
Let me hear from your witness. Let's swear him in.
Okay.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, what's your name?
August J. Stanton.
Okay, and Mr. Stanton, can you tell me when all of the stuff was out?
I believe it was November that I went in after speaking with Alan about how to handle his belongings.
Okay, and when the conversations you had with him, how did he seem to you?
He was concerned about the documents, that there were a couple legal documents he was interested in, and his Bose speakers.
Okay.
And June wanted to re-rent the property, so I said, I'll go in and get it out for you.
So when did you go in and get everything out for her?
Mid-November, I believe, and I would defer to Alan.
Okay, well, I'm seeing Alan's text that says you can get rid of everything is October 17th. June, my sister and husband are going to look for those very important 2 documents and take Bose speakers, and that's it. Rest can go curbside or it's yours. But in any event, let me ask you this. Was it re-rented?
Yes.
And when was it re-rented? As of when?
January.
Okay.
The discussion with Alan was, Alan, you owe October's rent. June's willing to forget it. And
now, June does June deny collecting first, last, and security?
Well, first, of course, was spent the
right,
first
of course,
month.
But last?
In her counterclaim, she gave an allocation of the last month's rent of $850. It was paid under a previous lease. So the amount was $850, and there was a security deposit of $300. She gave him credit for both of those items, even though they weren't mentioned.
Listen, she's suing for October, and if October was the last month he was there, he's already paid October, right? Because he paid last month.
Well, under Florida law, he'd be liable for the duration of the lease because the fact that he was removed because of an arrest would not terminate his legal obligation.
Okay, now let's talk about that. Are you a lawyer?
Unfortunately, yes. I knew.
Why do you say, you know, I'm a lawyer? You don't have to say, unfortunately, yes. All right. Now, so hold on. So Ms. Norden's position is, hey, it's not my fault you got evicted. You got evicted for your own behavior. So, you know, you owe me the rest of the lease. Now, in your discussions with him, she had been willing to do what? Have him what? Just keep his...
He was just happy to... yeah, we were all happy. Just let's get this stuff moved out so June can move on with her life. Alan was happy with it. I spent a lot of time moving it out, and I liked Alan. When he's a good guy, he's a good guy. When he's a bad guy, he's a bad guy.
Do you have any documentation about what it cost you to get things out or to get rid of things or anything like that?
No, I will not seek any damages for that.
Okay. Based on what I have heard, I find, Mr. Arthurs, that you have absolutely failed in proving that Ms. Norden owes you $8,000. So on your claim against her, 0. Let's discuss for your $800 bond or all of the stuff that you said put at the curb or your attorney's fees. She has nothing to do with any of that. Now let's put a pin in your claim for rent and security. She has a counterclaim against you. She had raised the rent to $950 by the time October came around. You paid no rent in October. You paid no rent in November. And you paid no rent in December, which was your last month's rent. So now that you are suing her, she has decided to seek against you whatever money is left over because according to her, it's not her fault you're breaking your lease. You're breaking your lease because the homeowners association won't let you live there because everyone says that you're doing all these things and you say everyone is conspiring against you and lying. That's fine. But
where's the evidence?
She can't. Exactly. That's my question. Where's the evidence? So she has absolutely nothing to do with anything that the homeowners association ended up doing against you. So I am finding in favor of Ms. Norden for October, okay, $950, and November, $950. By November, she should be able to go ahead and rent it to someone else. And that's a total of $1,900. And then you already have $850 from the last month's rent and $300 from the security deposit. So that leaves a sum total that he owes you of $750 on his claim against you, 0. On your claim against him, $750 additional dollars, and you have a right to keep of course, the last month's rent and also the security. That's my verdict. Good luck, folks.
So this is an interesting case. A lot of these cases involve who do you sue if you feel you've been wronged? Here, you have a landlord who has no real connection to this homeowners association. The landlord owns the buildings, but the homeowners decide how things get conducted within. That is exactly why the landlord wasn't on the hook in this case.
I won a small claims case. I hear even though I won, sometimes getting the money can be difficult. Any tips?
Yeah, that's kind of just half the battle.
Right.
The bigger battle almost is collecting sometimes. But
right, unfortunately.
So every jurisdiction has some rules about the things you can do to help yourself if you don't have a lawyer helping you.
Right.
And they usually involve questionnaires that you can force the person you won against to answer post-judgment.
Discovery. Right.
So they have to answer where they have bank accounts. They have to answer, you can do public searches to find out if they own property, if they own a car.
And if they stonewall you on that stuff and they don't want to answer, etc.
You could put it in front of the judge for a contempt hearing because they have to, by law, abide by these things.
Right.
Usually, once they see that you're doing, if the threat of having a judgment against them isn't enough for them to want to, pay and remove it, they may not care. But they're going to be you can drag them to court over and over to answer these things. Then you can end up attaching any of their property so long as it's not homestead. Because many states will say, well, just your home you can't take over $1,000, someone's home you can't take. But their motorcycle, their car, their bank accounts, you can end up having the law help you to get your judgment from those things.
And another thing you can do that's maybe not going to get you the money in the end, but it might get you a little satisfaction. Some people have professional licenses and things like that, where if you let the licensing board know that they're a deadbeat and they're doing this to you, it may affect their standing within their profession, whatever it is.
Right.
So that sort of thing, is it going to get the money for you? Maybe, maybe not, but it's going to give you a little bit of satisfaction.
It'll give you a thrill?
Yeah, give you a thrill. It'll give you a quick thrill.
A little tingle up your leg?
Exactly. You get a tingle up your leg.
Hopefully it doesn't get to that.